Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, this is Steve here, host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show. Thank you for listening. So, I want to talk about something that is affecting a lot of us, millions of people actually, and this really gets to dads. It seems like I see it so much in my groups and getting emails and messages about it. And before I share what I'm going to talk about, I want to just briefly invite you to take a look at what we have going on at the Fit Dad Nation. So if you're new to this, you can always visit fitdadnation.com. If you're just listening in for the first time, we've got a bunch of articles, plenty of resources there, all the links to all the shows I've done. Now we've done over 100 shows here. And we also do a lot of what we do really is in our private groups. So we've got a private group called the Fit Dad Base Camp, which is our free private Facebook group. And you can apply there at fitdadnation.com/community. We've got about 800 dads in there right now. We also have our private membership program, which is called the Fit Dad Nation Inner Circle. That's for guys who are really serious about reclaiming their life, reclaiming their fitness, reclaiming their health. And so that's where I spend a lot of my time. We have a lot going on in there. Specifically, we do monthly challenges to really get you out of your comfort zone, to push you, to keep you accountable, which is a huge, huge piece of this. And we just have a fantastic group of dads in there right now who are all really working their asses off to be better, one day better. And that's what it's all about. So you can check that out, fdnic.com, Fit Dad Nation Inner Circle. So what I want to talk about today, and I probably could have written an article about this, but it's such a big thing, and it's late night snacking. And so a lot of times when I'll post a question, what's your biggest struggle? What are you struggling with right now? It's eating late at night, snacking late at night, after dinner eating. And so first off, I'll tell you that eating after dinner, eating at night, eating before bed is not inherently bad. There's nothing wrong with eating late at night. You just have to understand that, for years, that was the misconception was don't eat after 8, or, you've heard something like that, where if you eat late at night, it's just going to get stored as fat, right? And that's been proven to be inaccurate. So the main thing that we want to worry about when we're trying to get fit, lose fat, which, most of us are always looking to lose a little bit of extra fat or a lot of fat, it's just being in a consistent, and the key word is consistent, calorie deficit. So it doesn't matter if you eat one huge meal, two medium meals, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiny meals. It doesn't matter. As long as you're eating fewer than your body needs, right, that's the way you're going to lose weight and lose fat. So I want you to just put that aside thinking, that it's bad. So it's not. And I eat sometimes at night, and it's fine. But what I want to talk about specifically today is typically the choices that we make at night, after dinner, when it's getting close to bed, if you're unwinding on the couch, whatever, they're not good choices. And that's the problem, is because we've had a long day, we've eaten our dinner, right? We got stuffed full of food. Now we're unwinding, whether you're chilling out with your family on the couch watching television, whether you're playing a game. There's a trigger that's going to go off in your head that says you want something sweet, you want something salty, right? You're not craving tuna fish, you're not craving broccoli, right? You're craving chips and salsa, you're craving pretzels, you're craving a scoop of ice cream. And that's just, it's a learned behavior too. Like we all know in this country that that's how we've all grown up for the most part, is you have your dessert late at night, right? It's just what it is. It's just kind of a learned behavior. And the problem is it's killing your progress. So I hear it all the time. I don't know how to stop snacking at night. And so that's what I want to talk about today is how do you stop snacking at night? Because literally it could be wiping out your entire progress, because you've hustled all week, you've been training hard, you've been eating a clean diet, you've been watching your calories, maybe you're even counting them. But then come late at night, you have that craving, that insatiable craving, like you have to have something. And you're not going to eat 4 Doritos, right? You're not going to have 1 Fig Newton. No, you're going to eat a fucking shitload of them, right? Just like everybody else, just like me. And that's the problem, is you've been in deficit, and all of a sudden 3, 4, 5 nights, or maybe every night, you're having some of that stuff. Maybe it's a little, maybe it's a lot, but there's a very good chance that that's blowing your deficit out of the water, and now you're in a surplus, and now it's impossible to lose weight when you're in a consistent surplus. So that's why, counting calories makes a lot of sense. So with that said, okay, these calories, and I didn't even mention alcohol. I mean, beer. I know guys that drink 3, 4, 5, 6 beers a night, right? Nothing wrong with that necessarily, but empty calories add up, right? And so, and I'm not going to talk about this too much, but, late night eating can affect things like your sleep, your quality of sleep, being able to sleep through the night, and also a lot of people suffer from like acid reflux. Me personally, I do as well. If I eat late at night, especially something like acidic, like salsa, because I love chips and salsa, I lay down for bed and it just starts coming up. I feel it come right up my esophagus, the reflux, and so I've had Tums by the bed, and so that obviously messes with your sleep too, and nobody wants to deal with that. So just that's something to think about. So, we could end this conversation right now, and I could say, just stop eating late at night and be done with it, right? Just say, knock it off. Don't do it. But obviously, it's like me telling you, well, just work out and eat less and eat better, and you're going to lose weight, right? It just doesn't really help you. So you have to understand this is highly emotional. Again, these are learned behaviors. These are very strong emotional triggers that are, ingrained in our brains. And we come to crave and think we need to have something. And again, it's usually something salty or something sweet. And so it's not as easy as just think, you know what, I'm just not going to have that tonight. I mean, you can do that, of course, sure, but you're going to be miserable. And so, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a psychologist. What I'm just going to do is just share my experiences. I've been doing this for a long time. I started training and coaching people in 1997, so it's been, 23 years, and as well as my experiences. I've tried a lot of things over the years. I've been training consistently in the gym, since my, I guess, early 20s, and I'm 49 now, but I've tried every kind of diet you can imagine. I've tried bulking and cutting and, you name it, I've given it a shot, and I've seen, what's good, what's bad, what works, what doesn't. And, so I'm going to just share my experiences. But I read something interesting, and I'm going to share this real quick, is, I've read that there's a couple of different types of hunger. So the actual physical hunger, I've heard it referred to as stomach hunger, which is when you're actually hungry, right? Your stomach is growling, maybe your blood sugar is way down, right? You need to eat something. Okay, that doesn't happen very often because we live in a constant state of being overfed, meaning we're not waiting 7, 8, 9 hours typically, unless you're sleeping, to eat, right? When you're awake, it's constantly stuffing our faces. That's our society, right? We're just used to just popping something in our mouth, so we're always got something going on. So you have to recognize that, if you're actually hungry, that's different than what's called emotional hunger, which is, basically something, there's some kind of trigger, some kind of how you're feeling, something like that makes you want to eat something specific. And then there's something called mouth hunger, which is where you want something specific that has a certain taste or a texture, something like that, which, I don't know how many times I've gone to my pantry late at night, scanned it up and down, 5 times looking for exactly what I wanted. No, I don't want those crackers and chips, Triscuits and cheese. No, pretzel rods, Pop-Tarts. And I see the Pop-Tarts. Maybe I want something sweet, right? That's mouth hunger. So you have to just understand the difference there. And I read something somewhere once, and I can't remember who wrote it, but it said that emotional hunger can never be satisfied with food. So if you think about that for a second, right, that's pretty powerful stuff when you realize that if you're eating based solely on your emotions, like how you're feeling, like, man, I'm tired. I just need something to put in my mouth, and I want something to satisfy me. I want that sweet craving. Maybe it's sadness, maybe it's something else, some kind of stress, right? Those are very, very powerful emotional triggers. But yeah, you're going to want to eat something, you're going to want to feel better, whether it's an energy drink or a Coke or whatever it is, right? But that's not going to be satisfied. So understand that. And I think that if you can focus on just eating when you're actually physically hungry, it'll make a huge difference. So with that said, I would say that taking a look at the typical American diet, and this is not everybody, but this is a lot, okay? Our diets are typically, right, junk foods, fast foods, fried foods, sugars, white flour, like a lot of stuff that just doesn't have a whole lot of quality. And more importantly, it leaves you wanting more, right? A lot of these packaged products are designed in a laboratory to elicit a response that leaves you wanting more. Like it's literally addictive. That's not news to anybody. But what happens when you eat that stuff all day long, week after week, month after month, right? Yeah, you're just going to keep craving it. So yeah, when you think you have a nice healthy dinner, you had a nice piece of chicken, you had a little bit of rice, right? You had some vegetables, some greens, right? And then afterwards, right, immediately you start craving because your body's used to that, right? It wants something sweet. And I'm not pointing fingers because this happens to me a lot, and it's something that I struggle with also because I love sweets. I love salty just as much as the next guy, And in our minds, we're thinking, okay, well, I've had a really hard day. I'm stressed out. I'm tired. It's hot as shit. All this stress with this coronavirus crap. Well, at least when I get home and, the kids go to bed and I take a shower and I sit, on the couch or sit in front of my computer, I know there's a pint of Haagen-Dazs waiting for me in the freezer. And you look forward to that, or maybe it's a piece of cheesecake, right? And it almost becomes like this goal. Like if I can get through the day today, I'll be able to eat it. I mean, it's a reward for you. And I think that's a problem when you look at it like that. And that's not to say that it's wrong, because millions of people look at food like that. I have conversations with my girlfriend all the time about it. She looks forward. Oh, guess what? I totally forgot I have, that caramel cone Haagen-Dazs ice cream in the freezer. And so she's looking forward to it. Through all of her meals, she's thinking about that Haagen-Dazs. If I can just get through the night, get through the day, it's going to be there. And so the question to ask yourself is there something missing from your life that requires you to rely on a sweet treat or something like that, or junk food as a reward? So, maybe you need to find something better to look forward to. And, I don't have the answer for that. I don't have the answer for that. Everybody's going to be different. But if you can have a short-term goal, have something that motivates you, right? I'm just saying that if you start viewing or keep viewing sweet treats, junk as a reward, as the end goal, you're going to struggle. You're always going to struggle. Okay? I will say, and again, this is something that all this stuff, whether it's training consistently, whether it's eating a high-quality diet, or it's this late-night snacking like we're talking about right now, it's all habit. As in, we're in the habit of eating a tub of buttery popcorn when we go to the movies. Right? We're in the habit of grabbing an energy drink when we're up early or we're tired. Okay? And the thing to remember is these can all be relearned. Bad habits can be dropped. Good habits can replace them. And ultimately, that's what it's all about, right? It's just creating better habits slowly. Okay, don't try to drop every bad habit you have and replace them with good ones, right? But just recognize that you're not destined to be have this sweet tooth. Like, I just have a sweet tooth. That's a bullshit excuse. I have this wicked sweet tooth and I have to satisfy. No, you don't. You don't. It's just a habit. It's an emotional trigger. You can relearn it, and that's fine. I tell clients all the time, I say, how right now you really want like a Panera sandwich or a cheeseburger from McDonald's, right? That sounds delicious. I want you to go to a point where that sounds terrible. And that's a significant shift in when you're eating well long enough, that other stuff tastes like absolute shit, right? A McDonald's cheeseburger literally tastes like a piece of cardboard if you've been eating clean, healthy, vibrant foods, right? I'm not talking about starving yourself and eating nothing but plain chicken breasts, brown rice, and broccoli all the time. Like, that's boring. I'm talking about just eating a good, clean, healthy diet, single ingredient foods. When you start eating that other stuff, you don't want it because it tastes horrible and you feel like shit. But just remember, all habit. So understand that. And I'm not going to talk about relearning habits in this episode, but I want you to understand that you're not destined because you like sweet foods. We all do. And look for triggers. We all have them. When we're overtired, when we're stressed, when we don't get enough sleep consistently, okay? All those things are a catalyst for emotional eating. And remember, it's not going to be satisfied by food. You're just not going to satisfy that craving, so you're going to continually eat and eat and eat. So you got to find a way to make better decisions, lifestyle decisions, so you're not in those positions. Okay? If you have stress, right? Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's your relationship. Whatever it is, stress is like the number one cause for eating and binge eating, snacking late at night, right? Stressed out for a long day, reward yourself, whatever it is. Find a way to manage that shit. You have to find a way to manage it. That's what it comes down to. So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas on what I do, what has helped me, because again, I'm not laying blame, I'm not pointing fingers, because I have been guilty of all of this. Like, I've eaten like a fucking pig at night for years, because I chose not to control it, and I just let that get the best of me. And yeah, it happens to a lot of us. But if you want to change, if that's a sticking point for you, if you don't care, that's fine. You don't have to do any of this shit, right? But if you do care, if you're really struggling with late night snacking, because it's sabotaging your results and it's preventing your progress, then listen to what I'm going to tell you here. Number one, this is the easiest one, most common sense, but not enough people do it. Get the food out of your fucking house. Get it out of the house. If it's not there, you're not going to go out and get it, right? You're not going to go out at 10:30 at night, drive to the store to buy a package of Funyuns or whatever it is. No, you're just going to eat something else. If you don't have shitty food in your house, you can't eat it, period. It's the simplest strategy. Again, it's not as easy as, well, it is as easy, but a lot of people will buy food that's not so great because they have kids or their spouse likes it, whatever. And then, you can try putting your food on your shelf. But when you're craving it and you have that emotional response, that trigger, you don't care whose shelf it's on. You're going to eat the fucking thing. That's just what it is. It's just how we view it. That's what happens. So get out of the house. I'll tell you also, make sure you're eating enough throughout the day. Like, don't eat just a few calories or just not enough, right? Because if you're not eating enough, and I hear it all the time, I'm just too busy. I'm so busy I didn't have time to eat. I had a tiny little lunch or a tiny little breakfast. I skipped lunch. I had, a moderate dinner, and then 2 hours after dinner, you're starving. What do you think is going to happen? You're not going to go cook something healthy. You're going to eat something quick, something that is going to satisfy your hunger immediately. You're going to go to the pantry. You're going to grab something crunchy, crispy, sugary, delicious, and you're going to eat a lot of it, right? It's what we do, but you have to realize that if you want to avoid that, start planning your meals, right? Set a eating schedule, right? I mean, it's not that much fun to set a set eating schedule. It's not that much fun to track your calories. But if you're really struggling, you have to put some work into it, right? Don't message me and say, hey, can you give me a meal plan? No, I can't give you a meal plan. It's not going to help you. You got to make some changes to your habits and start putting in some work. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And I will say, make your last meal, your dinner, make sure it has a lot of protein in it. It's the most satiating of all the nutrients. You should really be eating protein at every meal, but make sure you're eating a good portion. I typically eat 7 to 9 ounces, if not more, of meat at night. Okay? Because, we have a hard time making good food choices when we're hungry. I mean, we can't. So if you're still hungry, after dinner, even, shortly after dinner, you're going to be hungry, right? We have a very hard time making good decisions. How many times have you heard, don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry? Why? Yeah, because you're going to buy junk, right? So, don't put yourself in that position, okay? Don't put yourself in a position of watching television and having snacks in front of you, right? You're not even thinking about it. It's mindless eating, right? You know how fast that adds up? You sit down with a bag of whatever, Ruffles, you can eat half of that bag just watching your show, right? 300-400 calories, boom. You don't even know it. And you're still hungry after that because it's not filling you up. And there goes your calorie deficit. Okay? I would say learn your triggers, right? If you know that when you watch, baseball on TV or whatever your sport of choice is, and you just love to have a bag of Funyuns sitting in front of you because that's your thing, don't buy Funyuns, right? Buy something else, right? You have to put some effort into this, okay? And I would say tracking your calories is probably one of the best things you can do in the short term. In the long term, I don't love it only because it's very tedious and it becomes a chore. And when you start thinking about nutrition and eating as a chore, it just becomes something that you try to avoid. And so I've seen people, they'll actually eat less often because you just don't want to track it, or you just basically you're not honest with yourself and you don't track the stuff and you get lazy, right? But if you took 7 days, even 14 would be better, and you were 100% honest with yourself and you tracked everything you ate and drank, everything. It does take time, yes. It's worth it. You'll see how many calories you're actually eating. Most people, 95% of people, underestimate how much they're eating. I see it all the time. All the time. Track every single thing, and you're going to look at your profile at the end and be like, holy shit, 60% of my diet was carbs, and it was mostly processed garbage, right? I had 720 calories worth of just crap, right? Then, once you see it staring back at you in the face, you can be like, okay, I need to make a change now. And then it's a lot more real then when you see that, and you're like, oh shit, I'm really screwing up, But when you don't track it, you seriously, you don't even think about it. Like, yeah, I had a couple of chips, after dinner. That's how we think, right? I had a few chips, I had a handful of chips. But if you actually counted it out, you'd probably realize you're eating far, far more. And then I will say that there's a practice that I'm a big fan of it. I did a show a while back last year with Brad Pilon, who wrote Eat, Stop, Eat. It's a book on intermittent fasting. I think it's a great tool, not only for fat loss, but to get extremely mindful about what you're eating and why. And that's one of my biggest takeaways. We've run challenges in the inner circle with fasting challenges where guys have come away from this being like, holy shit, I just learned so much about myself and why I was eating and how much I was eating. And, it changed everything. So when you have that shortened window of time, and so if you're really struggling with nighttime, late night snacking, try fasting and adjust your window. Like, let's say you're doing a 14-hour fast, start it at 8 o'clock at night. If you really want something at 9, right? Drink a ton of water, but, use that window and don't give yourself an out. Just say, listen, I am fasting 14 hours, starts at 8. Okay, we're going to go to, 10 o'clock next day. And don't give yourself an out. And I honestly believe that's a huge tool. I'll link to the show that I did with Brad, which is it's really worth looking into for sure. So, these are my 2 cents on this. So, again, I want you to understand, I'm not beating you up. If you're okay with eating late at night and you're trying to manage it on your own, you don't want help, that's okay too. But like I said, over the years, I've seen this so often of men saying, I don't know how to stop late night snacking. So I hope this helps, guys. You know where to find me, fit.nation.com, and you can always hit me up with an email with a question, steve@fit.nation.com. I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, If you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.